All rise. The Kosovo Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome. Court officer, can you please call the case?
This is case KSC BC 2020-04, Specialist Prosecutor versus Pjetër Shala.
Thank you. First of all, I kindly ask you to tell me who is present today. Mr. Prosecutor, you have the
Good
floor.
morning, Your Honors. For the SPO, Line Pedersen, Gaia Pergolo, and Filippo De Minicis. Thank you.
Thank you. Victims' Counsel.
Good morning, Your Honours. I'm Simon Laws, counsel for the victims in this case.
Thank you. Defense Counsel.
Yes, good morning. So I'm Mr. Gelissen. I'm here with my two counsel, Mr. Awini and Ms. Cariolo. Mr. Shala is with us, of course, by video link. And we are here with our case manager, Zaneta Petrovica, our legal officer, Kaylin, and Judith Colby and Juliette Haley, who are evidence reviewer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have a representative of the registry. You have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honours. Those present in the courtroom, I'm Ralph Roach on behalf of the registry. Thank you.
Thank you. Today we will hear the testimony of Zbigniew Doleci, who is an expert witness called by the specialist prosecutor. Before we start with the witness testimony, we need to deal with some procedural matters. We will firstly put on record an order we made via email this week on Wednesday, the 14th of June 2023, and for that we need to go briefly into private session. Madam Court Officer, can you bring us into private session, please?
we're in public session now, Your Honors.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. The representative of the registry will not be attending the hearing further. We thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
We have a second oral order to render, and we already informed parties and victims' councils about that. It pertains to filing 547, filed on 14th of June and distributed yesterday. In it, the defense requests a 5-day extension of time limit to file its request for certification to appeal the panel's decision on the prosecution motion for judicial notice of facts of common knowledge and adjudicated facts. This is filing 538. Yesterday, the SPO communicated that it did not intend to file any submissions to this request, any response. And the panel finds that the defense has shown good cause as required by Rule 9, paragraph 5a of the rules. In particular, you have demonstrated sufficiently the need to dedicate sufficient time to prepare the certification to appeal request, while respecting a number of competing deadlines related to ongoing litigation on the matter, as well as preparing for the upcoming evidentiary blocks. The panel considers that the limited extension of time will not cause any undue delay to the proceedings. So we grant the request, and accordingly we vary the time limit for the defense to file the certification to appeal decision 538 to Thursday, 22nd of June, 2023. Yeah. And this concludes the second oral order. After the examination of the witness, the panel will issue an oral order setting the calendar for the next procedural steps. So that we will be doing later on. And that means that we can now proceed with the testimony of Mr. Deleschi. Mr. Deleschi will testify without protective measures. However, part of his testimony may be done in private session if needed to protect the identities of the witnesses and victims at risk on account of the participation or with the Kosovo Specialist Chambers and the Specialist Prosecution Office. We will sit for 3 sessions, we will sit for 3 regular sessions of 1.5 hours with the normal 30 minutes break. With regard to the lunch, at 1 o'clock, we will assess where we stand with the examination of the witness. And depending on that, we will have an hour or an hour and a half break for lunch. And we might add a 45-minute session or not. We will see how we proceed. Okay, very well. Court clerk, could you please usher the witness into the courtroom? Mr. Prosecutor.
While the witness is being ushered in, we will endeavor to do our examination as much as possible in public session. And we think we can do that by simply going to private session briefly at the beginning with the witness and agreeing to refer to 2 subjects in his report with a pseudonym. That way, the way we have planned our examination, we think that at least the direct examination, we will be able to do it in public session without the need of any private session. So that's our proposal.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, please have a seat. Mr. Deleschi, good morning and welcome to the Specialist Chambers. Do I pronounce your name well?
My name is Zbigniew Dolejszy.
So,
Yes, Dolejszy.
just assuring myself that I pronounce it well. You can hear me fine, I notice.
Ano.
Very well. Mr. Shala, can you hear the witness?
Born the dream. Born the dream.
Yes, I hear you well.
Thank you, Mr. Shala. Mr. Doleshi, how
Faleminderit zoti Shala. Zoti Doleshi si jeni? Thank you well.
we are going to interrupt for a small moment because we have a technical issue at the moment.
Okay.
It should be okay now, so we will proceed. Mr. Doleshi, we had a small technical problem, but I think it has been resolved now. So today we will proceed with your testimony. And before we begin, I have several remarks. Yes. You are called to testify before the specialist chambers in the case of Pjetër Shala in the case of Mr. Pjetër Shala to assist the panel to reach a verdict. You will first take your solemn declaration, and after that you will be asked questions by firstly the specialist prosecutor's office, the people with the robe partly in purple. Then you can be asked questions by the victim's counsel, sitting next to the specialist prosecutor's office. Yeah, he's representing the victims participating in this procedure. Then you will be asked questions by the defense team. Yes, with the robes in purple. And finally, if necessary, you will then finally you can also be asked questions by the panel. Yes. I will give you some guidance with regard to your testimony, Mr. Witness. Mr. Doleshi, please listen carefully to each question. If you don't understand the question, feel free to ask for further clarification or the question to be repeated. We want you to give your expertise to the best of your knowledge and to state what your findings and opinions are. Yeah. Please answer the questions being put to you. If more clarification from our side is needed, you will be asked. Yeah. There's also some practical advice, Mr. Doleshi, I would like to give you, and that is everything that we say is translated and recorded. So it is important to speak into the microphone, to speak clear, and to speak at a slow pace. Yeah. This will allow the interpreters to translate everything. And you should only start speaking when the question posed to you has finished. And when a question is asked, please wait 5 seconds before you start giving your answer. And this will allow the interpreters to finalize the interpretation. Yeah? If I raise my hand, please stop talking. And sometimes we might ask you to leave the courtroom if we need to discuss something regarding the content of your testimony in order to avoid influencing you with any of our questions. Yes, I see you nodding. And if you have a question, if you need a break or you need assistance, please raise your hand and then I will give you the floor. You understood all this?
Yes.
Carry on.
Yes.
Mr. Doleshi, I will now ask you to take your solemn declaration, And I remind you that it's an offense within the jurisdiction of the specialist chambers to give a false testimony. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Very well. I will now ask you, Mr. Doleshi, to take your solemn declaration. Please repeat after me. Conscious of the significance of my testimony.
Conscious of the significance of my testimony.
Legal responsibility.
And my legal responsibility.
I solemnly declare perform my expert analysis consciously.
That I will perform my expert analysis conscientiously.
Knowledge.
And to the best of my knowledge.
I will state my findings and opinion accurately and completely.
And that I will state my findings and opinion accurately. And completely, yes.
You are now under oath, and we can now proceed with your testimony. I will give the floor to the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, and they will start. Mr. Prosecutor, you have the floor. I saw that you estimated 2 hours. Please give us an update if there might be any changes in that regard.
Will do, Your Honor. Morning, Major. We have met before. I'm Filippo De Minicis. I'm prosecutor for the SPO, and I will be conducting your examination this morning. Could you please state your name and surname?
My name is Zbigniew Doleshi.
And your date and place of birth, please.
Uh, 1980, 20th of February, Liberec, that's Czech Republic.
Could you tell the panel what is your current occupation?
At the moment, I am head of the genetics department at Criminology Institute in Prague.
What is your level of education? Can you tell us about your studies?
Bachelor's degree at the Faculty of Science in Brno, molecular and cell diagnostics, and then following a master's degree study of molecular biology and genetics.
I'd like to ask you to explain a little more, if you can, in terms that we non-geneticists can understand, what your what this study, what your course of studies entailed. Starting with the first one, what did you study in your molecular and cell diagnostics degree? What is the subject of that study?
So the subject was general genetics, human, plant, and also animal.
About your master's degree, the molecular biology and genetics, what was the subject matters that you studied during that master?
Apart from general science subjects, the study was focused especially at molecular biology. It means finding out molecular processes in cells that have an impact on transcription and amendment of human cells.
And as part of your studies, did your studies also include the study of genetic material and human DNA?
Mostly, more than half of the time was devoted to this at the university during my studies.
You told us that you are currently serving as the head of the genetics department at the Criminalistic Institute of Prague. Since when have you been working for that institution?
I started working in the Institute of Criminalistics in 2004, and I have been working there until the present.
What is the Institute of Criminalistics Police of the Czech Republic? What does the institute do?
Well, in the Czech Republic, there are several forensic laboratories within the police of the Czech Republic. 7. Seven of them, the Institute of Criminology is overlooking them, he's checking them. The Criminology Institute processes expert statements, expert examination for the capital of Prague and for all police units in the Czech Republic which are in function on the whole territory, for example, anti-drug centers and organized crime.
I forgot to ask, but are you yourself a member of the Czech police force?
Yes.
Tell us what is your rank within the police force.
Colonel.
Now, is your institute, the Institute of Criminalistics, linked to any ministry of the Czech government? Does it work for any government ministry?
The Criminology Institute is subject to Police Presidium, which is subject to the Ministry of Interior.
Is the Institute of Criminalistics part of any international network of forensic science institutes?
Yes. Understandably, it's at the present times necessary. Criminology Institute has been since 1998. 1998 are part of the organization NFC, which is the European Network of Forensic and Scientific Institutions, ENFSI.
Does it, for instance, entail cooperation with other foreign forensic institutes?
Well, it's part of the cooperation. It means exchange of information. Then there are common procedures being agreed in the course of our work.
Yeah.
The aim is for all of those institutions having a common approach, looking for the best way forward to achieve good results.
The Institute of Criminology, is it work used in criminal proceedings in the Czech Republic? Is it involved with that type of work?
Yes. All our expert opinions and statements and outputs are commonly used in court proceedings. They are part of the evidence materials. At the same time, we are entitled to carry out revision statements of other expert opinions.
Told us what your job title is as the head of the genetics department. Can you now tell us what that job consists of? What are your tasks and duties as the head of the genetics department at the Institute of Criminalistics, Prague?
Apart from standard expert activity, I carry out inspection of outputs of my colleagues. I ensure the functioning or an operation of our department.
Does your job also include DNA testing?
Yes, yes. This is a standard expert activity.
Part of your job, have you ever provided evidence in a court of law concerning DNA testing performed by you or your laboratory?
The interpreter asks the question to be repeated. Thank you.
As part of your job, have you ever provided evidence before today in a court of law in relation to DNA testing performed by either you or your laboratory?
Yes, this is part of our work to defend our findings in front of the court.
I'm now done with your background, and I'd like to move on to discussing certain reports. Now, Colonel, Did you compile a DNA identification report in December 2009, in relation to which I contacted you last year?
No.
Yes, I did.
The report on the screen. The ERN is SITF 00012 to 00012 and that is the version that contains the original Czech language of the report. While for the English, although it is contained in that part, we would like to call up the revised version, which is SITF 00012 to 12458 ET.
And the background of calling the statements up,
Well,
the reports up?
We have called this witness, Your Honor, to introduce his evidence, his reports, as instructed by the court in evidence. So I'd like first to, for the witness to authenticate the report, and then move on to asking a few questions on its contents.
Very well. And Madam Court Officer, please proceed with calling up the report.
If we could please scroll the report down to get to the Czech version, which I believe starts at page 3. No, that's page 4 then, I'm sorry. Yes. So, Colonel, is this the report that you compiled in December 2009?
No.
Yes, I believe so.
Can we move to page 6 of the document, please?
Mr. Is everything clear to you?
No.
Yes, it is.
Please proceed, Mr. Prosecutor.
And, Colonel, do you see the current page? It has your name on it. And do you recognize the signature on top of that name?
No, to
Yes, that is my signature.
Did you perform the analysis described in the report?
Yes.
Can you tell the court what kind of analysis you were tasked to do in relation to that report?
It was a standard request to determine biological kinship, where we were given reference materials of potential biological parents and a fragment of a tissue of an unknown dead body.
Move into a private session, please.
Madam Court Officer, could you bring us into private session, please?
We're in public session, Your Honors.
Please proceed, Mr. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would kindly ask the court officer if we can scroll the report one page up in the Czech version, and it would be page 2 in the English. Your Honor. One second, Your Honor, my screen. Now, we're back in public session. Colonel, you told us that the examination that you were asked to do was a standard examination in which you were given reference materials of potential biological parents and a fragment of a tissue of an unknown body. Now, in your report, I see that on the page that you have in front of you, under paragraph 2, it says, for the expert examination has been presented, and then there are 3 materials. Are these the materials that you were given to perform the examination?
Yes.
The report, under the same heading, states all items were handed over together with the request for the expertise in undamaged condition to the Criminology Institute of Prague on 8 September 2009. Could you elaborate a little on what this means in terms of the materials being delivered to you in an undamaged condition?
Every time in our reports we state whether the submitted materials were damaged or undamaged. That means that all submitted boxes, envelopes, or any security packaging were closed, sealed, undamaged, that it hasn't been opened or damaged. Any of the packaging for the transport has not been damaged.
The court, what did you do with these materials in order to perform the analysis that you were requested to do?
Could you please wait a moment, Mr. Doleci? Madam Court Officer, could we zoom in a little bit? Does that still, is this also good for you, Mr. Prosecutor?
That's actually better, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Thank you. You may proceed, and I ask you to re-ask the question for Mr. Doleci, please.
I will. Now, so you were asked to determine whether there was a biological kinship, you told us, between the people who were the source of these materials. Now, without going into trying to strike a balance into the detail of scientific detail that you will go into your answer, could you explain to the court what, after receiving the materials, what was the next step that you performed in order to achieve the task that you were given?
In the case of the reference materials of the 2 people, we isolated the DNA, we extracted DNA from the material, and after that we established the DNA profile of the fragment of the tissue, because that tissue was showing signs of humidity it was placed in an apparatus, in a box that carries out the drying out of the tissue. It's a kind of dryer, because this drying effect was failing to occur. That meant that it was an evidence of saponification. That happens very often when lipid, fat, for example, hydroxide of natrium, and at that moment the so-called saponification takes place. That would also be an evidence that this skeletal fragment were subjected to extract of samples, which happens in a way that that bone is cut using a saw, and the dust, kind of sawdust of that bone, are diluted in a special solution that decalcifies the cells, so that we can get to the cell DNA.
Just, Mr. Doleci, for our understanding, if you speak about evidence of saponification, what do you mean with that? And try to explain it as simple as possible as you can in lay terms.
That means that the bone was always covered in kind of slimy, humid, wet substance on the surface.
Protože byla v tak špatné.
And because it was in such a bad state, it had been subjected to several sample extractions, and we had to take several samples so that we could achieve at least partial DNA from those samples.
Succeed in extracting a DNA profile from the bone.
We succeeded at just a partial DNA profile, which means that we haven't been able to determine all markers that are normally subject to the analysis. The markers that we analyze mean that in layman terms we measure the length of the DNA, of the section of the DNA, how long are these sections. The longer the DNA section is, more often they degrade in these samples, and then it makes it impossible to exactly determine their exact length.
So you told us that you were not able to determine all markers that are normally subject to the analysis. How many markers are normally, ideally measured for this type of analysis?
At that time, we were using the kit PowerPlex 16, and that name also contains the number of the markers we determine.
The markers that
Yeah.
were. And under the circumstances that you have described, how many markers were you able to analyze as extracted from that bone?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Defense counsel, before we proceed, is the nature of your question it's something that it's better to usher out Mr. Expert?
No, Your Honor. It's references to the transcript. I'm sorry for my colleague, but sometimes he goes a little bit ahead of what's said by the expert, mentioning blood and bone, which is not mentioned specifically by the expert. We have tissue and we have materials, so we better be careful with going too ahead of ourselves.
Could you give the exact place in the transcript, because we can then verify and put it on record in order to have the exact wording by the expert. I agree with you that we have to be as precise as possible, but it would assist us to have an example in order to rectify if you think it's necessary.
I have page 16, line 9, where my learned colleague mentioned blood before, because the expert didn't mention what kind of material the biological subject A and B were, what kind of materials. This could be clarified, but not suggested already. We let the expert do it. Same for the material of the unknown tissue. I think so far, but I stand to be corrected, so far we mentioned tissue.
Mr. Prosecutor.
Your Honor, I'm not sure about the blood, but as for the bone, first it's specified in the report, and we've already gone through that section, and I seem to recall that it talked about crushing the bone, but it certainly is in the report that the sample that we've been discussing now that had gone through saponification was bone.
That was also my understanding. Victims' Counsel, you have the floor.
The reference to bone by the witness is at page 19 at line 9 and 10.
Okay, so with regard to the bone, Defense Counsel, is that that part, is that satisfactory now in the record?
Yes, I withdraw it to the bone.
Very
sorry,
well.
I was too quick for that.
Thank you. Mr. Prosecutor, and we might clarify the point of the type of tissue that was shared with the laboratory.
Yes, for the two known subjects.
Yes, please.
Of course.
For the known subjects, yes.
Yes, yes. Colonel, you told us that for the unknown subject, you extracted the DNA from a piece of bone. And what biological material did you extract the DNA profiles from with regard to the two known subjects, subjects A and subject B?
From the description, it says that we were given a red and brown stain on textile. At that time, we were doing reference material was standard in a standard way, either a swab from the mouth, and that's from the inside of the mouth, and in some cases. What's given as a reference material, for example, also blood. These stains that were given to us were tested just to determine whether it was blood with a strip called hemophon, which determines whether it's blood. We weren't trying to determine whether that was specifically human blood. At the same time, we were not trying to determine a blood group. The precedence was given to genetic analysis, which is more accurate. For the purposes of genetics as such, it really isn't that important to decide whether the reference material is blood or sperm or saliva or tissue.
Has not been recorded in the transcript, so I ask you to repeat your question just for clarification purposes, and I would direct the witness to give an answer to your question, because you asked specifically what it was.
So the question that I asked was whether you were in fact able to determine whether the biological material provided to you was blood or not. You have explained to us that how that is not as important as you may think, but just a simple answer. Do you know if the material, and for the clarity of the record, if the materials in the tampons from the known subjects was blood or anything else? Do you recall if you determined that?
We did not perform a specific test for human blood.
DNA profiles from the tampons of the known subjects?
Ano.
Yes. We determined complete DNA profiles.
To my question before we had this little interruption. You told us the state of the bone sample and the procedure you went through to extract the DNA profile. Did you eventually manage to extract the DNA profile from that bone?
Yes, we did manage. As I said, like I said, we managed to determine a partial profile of the DNA.
You told us that ideally, at the time, with the software you were using, with the, you would have looked for 16 markers. How many markers were you, in fact, able to extract, to determine from that bone?
Podařilo se nám
We managed to determine 9 autosomal markers. 9 autosomal markers from the autosomal DNA.
Now, you told us that you were able to extract complete profiles from subject A and subject B, and an incomplete profile of 9 markers from the bone fragment. With these DNA profiles, were you able to perform the tasks that you were given, that is, to determine whether there was biological kinship between subject A and B and the person from whom the bone fragment was extracted?
Ano, v té době.
Yes, at that time we were using our calculation and we didn't find any markers that would exclude a kinship of parent and biological descendant, speaking about the 2 reference materials provided.
So what was your conclusion in layman's terms as to whether there was a biological kinship between the fragment source and and subject A and subject B.
Myslím si, že to je
I think that you can find this on the following page of my witness statement. Experts, in other words, expert's opinion. If I may ask you.
Please scroll one page down and show to the witness his findings on the next page.
Madam Court Officer, please proceed.
konstatovali jsme,
we were able to state that we made a comparison of DNA profiles from reference materials, i.e. subject A and subject B, and we also state that they correspond with the biological parents of the donor of the bone fragment. The probability that we calculated using our software equaled 1 to 70,000. Probability rate was 1 to 70,000. That means that 1 out of 70,000 randomly selected individuals would not be excluded as a potential descendant of the two subjects in question. At the same time, and due to the quality of the bone fragment, we made a recommendation to produce a skull, because we supposed that the part of the skull or teeth could give better results in profiling the DNA. They could render an undamaged DNA profile.
I have two follow-up questions to finalize my questions in this report. The first one is whether you in fact ever received any skull, any bone taken from a skull, or any sample which was in better condition based on which you could repeat your analysis.
nejsem si...
I'm not aware of the fact that the Criminology Institute received any other sample in connection to this particular case.
Be allowed. I'll try to put it a bit more in layman's terms with regard to the statistical probability that the witness has provided. That may require me not leading, because he has already provided the question, but asking the witness if my understanding is correct.
Please proceed.
So with regard to the statistical probability you have provided, this is my understanding, and please tell me if my understanding is correct. What you told us, my understanding, means that if you were to take, so you tested a bone fragment which was given to you against subject A and subject B, and you determined the possibility of biological kinship. Now, we can measure the strength of that determination through the statistical probability which you provided, which is if you were to take a bone sample at random from 70,000, if you were to take 70,000 randomly chosen people and take a bone sample from each of them, statistically, one of them could also not be excluded to be a descendant of subject A and subject B. This is my understanding.
Ano.
Exactly.
Thank you. I've finished my questions with regard to your 2009 report.
Madam Court Officer, you can bring the documents down.
In 2023, did you personally conduct a second analysis of the possible biological relationship between subject A and subject B on the one hand, and the person from whom the bone fragment was extracted on the other?
Ano.
Yes, I did.
Write a report about this second analysis.
Ano.
Yes, I did. It was a part of my response, or my reply.
Report on the screen to follow, by and large, the same procedure that we followed with the previous report.
Yes, you may. Madam Court Officer, could you please
I'll provide
pull
the
the
year-end.
evidence up as soon as you have the reference?
The year-end report here is 11/06/70 to 11/06/74. And this, Your Honors, is only in English. There is no Czech version of it. We have an Albanian version, but
Not necessary to pull it up now. Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Please proceed, Mr. Prosecutor.
so you stated that you did, and it was part of your response. In fact, as we may see from the report, if we could zoom in a little bit, please. Yes. The beginning of the report states that is addressed to me, and you refer to my request sent via email on the 22nd of December, 2022. Now, Colonel, can you explain to the judges here the way in which you conducted this second analysis?
Ten původní spis.
The original report was in a hard copy, and according to our internal rules, this hard copy was destroyed after 10 years. Nevertheless, we managed to restore the original data. That means the DNA profiles in numerical form. The forensic genetics and genetics in general is developing greatly, and I'm happy for that. This is a continuous development, which brings new methods in place, and also the statistical evaluation of our results develop. While in 2009 we were using Excel software for our calculations, nowadays we use commercial software applications which we dispose with. That's why I made the calculation with the same data using CODIS software, which is a standard software used by most forensic laboratories. This software rendered the following results. The probability rate in terms of the kinship equals 99.99998%. In layman terms, that means that approximately 1 out of 11 million randomly chosen individuals would not be excluded as a potential descendant of those subjects. At the same time, we could state something what was not included in the original expert's opinion, namely that the Y chromosome analysis in subject A rendered the same results as the analysis of Y chromosome of the bone fragment. In 2009, we did not state this fact in our report. Why? We were not able to include it into our statistical results. That was just a supporting analysis. Y chromosome is inherited from father to his descendant. That means that a father and a son have the same Y chromosome profile. This serves not an individual identification, it only serves a group identification. That is why we did not state this fact in the original report. This information only helped us to confirm our results then.
The first one is, is the data that you used to draw these 99.9 and so on percent results, is this data showed anywhere in your report?
You do have in mind the previous report from 2009?
No, the data, the DNA profile data that you used to make this new calculation. Is this present in the report that you sent us? Is it specified?
Myslím, že profily DNA.
I think that the DNA profiles of the subjects, of the two subjects, and the partial DNA profile were stated in the annex attached to our report.
Scroll down the document to page 3, Your Honor.
I've seen it has already been done.
Is this the data that you use for your calculations, Colonel?
Ano.
Yes, it is.
Can these data be used by another expert, a third-party expert, to verify the accuracy of the results stated in your report?
Ano, pochopit.
Yes, certainly.
And this is just curiosity of mine, perhaps the judges will want to know too. I see that the table stays locus on the left-hand side, and under that column there are 9 lines, starting with D3S, D19, D2S. Earlier on, you told us you were able to extract 9 markers from the bone samples. Are these the markers that you took into consideration for your analysis? Are these the 9 markers that you were able to extract?
Ano, to je...
Yes, those are the 9 autosomal markers. Autosomal markers.
Thank you. Now, my second question concerned the analysis of the Y chromosome that you told the judges about. Is that a separate analysis that you performed compared to the one that you performed to draw the 99.9% conclusion on biological kinship?
Ano.
Yes, it is. So a standard analysis to establish DNA profile determines markers on various chromosomes. These are the loci. When performing the Y chromosome analysis, we only try to determine the markers, the loci, on one single chromosome. Thus, a pro and con of the chromosome. It's only inherited alongside the male paternal line. Nowadays, statistical software applications are able to include this fact as well, and they are also able to match likelihood ratio. It's just a different approach of the statistical evaluation of our results.
One of the report, please.
Before we do that, Mr. Prosecutor, I would like to go to line 22 on page 30, and then maybe it's better to start at line 21 at the beginning, at the end. When performing the Y chromosome analysis, we only try the markers. I did not get that sentence.
Of course.
But maybe something was left out in the translation or in the transcription into the transcript. Determine, maybe it could be the word determine.
So my understanding, but we will, let's ask the witness. Colonel, you told us, we're just trying to clarify the transcript. This is scientific jargon, so we want to be sure we understand it. You said that when performing, the transcript reads, when performing the Y chromosome analysis, we only try the markers, the loci, on one single chromosome. That's what is recorded in the transcript. Does that reflect your answer, or could you perhaps try to restate it so that we have it again in the transcript?
Já se omlouvám.
Apologies, I can't see my original output. Therefore, I'm not sure what part of text you are referring to.
Perhaps, Your Honor, I can try to ask the question by telling the witness what my understanding of that is, and to see whether we can.
I would suggest, and we can go to your alternative. I see that Mr. Shala is not there anymore, so I will not proceed before verifying what has happened.
Your Honor,
Mr. Doleshi, we don't have the accused, Mr. Shala, via video link with us, so that's the reason I don't want to proceed. Mr. Shala, you're back with us.
I apologize, but I needed to go to the bathroom urgently.
Thank you, Mr. Shala. For next time, just inform us that you're not here with us, because for us it's very important, of course, that you can follow the whole proceedings, although your defense lawyers are here with us. Good. Mr. Prosecutor, I propose to re-ask the question, the second question, and then receive an answer from Mr. Doleshi.
Okay, Mr. Colonel, I will re-ask the question. I think that is the easiest way, as suggested by the judge.
Sorry, Mr. Prosecutor, I received some guidance on a specific technical matter.
So the question that I asked you before, and that you kindly asked to answer again, is whether the analysis on the Y chromosome haplotype is a separate analysis from the one that you conducted to determine the results of 99.9% stated in your report.
Ano, byla to...
Yes, it was a supportive analysis that is carried out in kingship.
Mr. Prosecutor, I suggest that you put to the witness how you understood this specific phrase, and then we see what the witness answers. So it's page 30,
yes,
line 21 till 23.
I understand that the standard, to perform the standard analysis, you check markers on a number of different chromosomes, while for the Y chromosome haplotype analysis, you only check the markers on one single chromosome, that is the Y chromosome. Is that correct?
Ano.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Doleshi.
Now, Your Honor, if we could just have the report where the results are stated, that would be page 1.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
And scroll down a little. This is the zoom level is good. Now, my question is similar to the one that I asked you about the results expressed in the first report, which gave a possibility of 1 to 70,000. Now, this, in layman terms, gives us a possibility of 1 in 11 randomly selected unrelated individuals. My question is maybe repetitive, but for clarity, does this mean that if you took a bone sample from 11 million randomly selected individuals, statistically there would be just one case in which you could not exclude kinship?
Yes, you may understand it this way.
Now, you told us that you conducted this separate Y chromosome haplotype analysis. How does that analysis, how do these findings stand in the light of that analysis?
Those results of analysis of Y chromosome, as I said, may be used also for other type of statistical calculation, which is the ratio of likelihood ratio. It's a statistical approach where we calculate the match of the standard markers. At the same time, we calculate in the probability of match Y chromosome.
Should we all understand the terminology? Is the likelihood ratio that you drew through the standard analysis the one indicated in the 4th paragraph of your report? So the 99.9% number, is that what you call the likelihood ratio?
Ne, to byl statistický.
No, it was a statistical calculation that was used in 2009, where we tried for better clarification, express the likelihood of the random match. In this calculation, we try for public and clarify for how a big group of people there may be a random match where we would randomly find one bone which would correspond to being a possible descendant. At present, the Criminology Institute standardly uses for evaluation of biological kinship so-called probability ratio, which means that we have all the results in one statistical output.
Line 13. The question, how does that analysis, how do these findings stand in the light of that analysis? I'm not sure if you got a real answer to that, but I leave it to you. But for the moment, doesn't seem to me.
Of course, Your Honor, I'm getting there. I will ask that as a next question. Now, does the analysis of the Y chromosome does it lend support or not to the findings that you drew through the standard analysis methodology?
Yes. Y chromosome analysis means is the same chromosome profile of the Y chromosome of the person A and the bone fragment. So undisputedly it supports the results.
Is it possible, if you were to combine the two analyses to produce a number, how would that affect the 11 million randomly selected individuals result?
The likelihood 1 to 11 million is, for your idea, 1 to 10 exponent 6. And if we combine those likelihoods, it's the likelihood ratio. It's a statistical model where two hypotheses are being compared, put in layman terms. The hypothesis is that the two persons are parents or are not parents of the person in question. In this case, it's like the scales of justice have two bowls and we judge them. So our hypothesis supported. In this case, if we combine the results of the standard analysis STR markers, which is 99.998, and the results of the analysis Y chromosome analysis, we get a result of the likelihood ratio that our results support the hypothesis, and make it stronger, meaning they are parents. One exponent 10, as opposed to they are not parents.
Ke stejným výsledkům
That's the result when using the same results. Alternatively, there is an opponent. It's a standard statistical model that is used in CODIS software.
It correctly by combining what you told us, and please tell me if my understanding is not correct, but you told it by combining the standard analysis with the Y chromosome analysis, the possibility that there is a parental relationship is 1 to the power of 10 more likely than it is not.
Yes. The hypothesis that there are parents is 10 to the power of 10, stronger thanks to the analysis, DNA analysis.
Your Honor, I see that we are at the time for a break. I actually have only 2 questions left, and then I would finish my examination. So
I think anyhow it's better to break up now and then to continue after the break.
Very well.
Yes. Mr. Witness, we are going to proceed now with half an hour break, and we will see you back then. I will ask Madame Court Usher to usher you out. Thank you. We will resume in 30 minutes. The hearing is adjourned.
All rise. All rise.
Please be seated. Welcome back. CDSPO in the same composition, Victims Council, and on the left side also too. I see that Mr. Shala is now also with us. Can you hear me fine, Mr. Shala?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Good. Then we continue with the examination of the witness. Madame Court Usher, could you usher the witness in, please? Thank you. Mr. Doleshi, welcome back.
Yes.
I will now give the floor again to Mr. Prosecutor to continue with the examination. You have the floor, Mr. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I really just have one or two questions left, and then I will be done. Colonel, at page 28 of today's transcript, you stated that in 2009 you used Excel for calculations, while now you use software which is standardly used for this type of calculations, which is called CODIS. Is that correct?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you something about your 2009 report. If we could please have on the screen SITF 000-12453 at page that will be, I believe, in the Czech version, it will be page 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, page 5 of the document.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
And this would be found on page 2 of the English version. Just a clarification for me that perhaps will also assist the panel. If we can scroll a little bit down. Yes, that is fine for the English. That is also fine now for the Czech version. Under methods, section number 2, 1 to 3rd paragraph, you mention PowerPlex 16 from the Promega company. Can you tell the panel what that is, PowerPlex 16? Just because I thought, my understanding is that you use Excel for the calculations at the time. Now, so that I wanted to ask if you could clarify for the panel what that is.
Pro naše...
For our methodology, we use different kits, different solutions, chemicals. And in this methodology, we only mention the chemical kit, which is used for the analysis of autosomal local STR. At that time, I believe that on the market, on the world market, there were only these two firms, if I'm not mistaken, Applied Biosystems, which I believe used to provide a kit called Identifiler, and a firm called Promega, which used to provide the PowerPlex 16 kit. It's just a nomenclature, a name for the commercially available kits that would analyze the markers that we need.
The different roles. What do you use PowerPlex 6 for, and what do you use the Excel sheet for?
PowerPlex 16.
16, sorry, yes.
That is so.
We mention only the commercial kits that are used by the laboratory. The program, macros in Excel, in our Excel, we used just for calculating a kind of probability of a kinship match. It's not mentioned here. It was just a macro we had in Excel.
Understanding of this was that PowerPlex 16 is used in the process of the extraction of the DNA profiles, while Excel is then used to calculate the kinship based on the profile that you extracted. Would that be correct?
Áno, tak sa to...
Yes, it would be possible to say it that way.
Question, and it concerns your 2023 report. If we could please have on the screen 110670, please.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
Page 2. If you can scroll just a little bit down, yes. I wanted to ask you, I earlier asked you if you had performed this analysis and generated this report yourself, but I see here the report is signed by Colonel Libor Predota, head of division. Could you tell us who Mr. Predota is and what role he had in this report?
The questions that you sent to our office, to the police of the Czech Republic, are in a standard way worked on and compiled at the Presidium of the Police. Colonel Predota, I assume, is the head of the Department for International Affairs. So the Institute of Criminology, the Presidium of the Police would send your request to our division. We elaborated, we worked on it, and then we sent it on. And he passed on the result. He's the guarantor of the official translation of the official writing and sending off the response.
These were all my questions, Your Honors.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. We have now completed the questioning of Mr. Doreshi by the SPO. before we continue, I will ask Madam Court Officer to provide us with the ERN numbers that have been allocated to the items the witness has. That has been. Oh no, we didn't have any marking, huh? No. So we don't have to do that. Apologies for that. No. Then we will continue with Victims' Counsel. Do you have any questions for the witness?
Thank you, Your Honour. We accept the Colonel's evidence and we have no questions in relation to it.
Thank you, Victims' Counsel. Then I turn to the defense. Defense Counsel, would you like to continue with cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honour. Yes, indeed. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I'm Lito Cariolu, and I will be putting some questions to you on behalf of Mr. Shala, who is the accused in this case. I will focus my questions mainly on your methodology, but first let me please clarify two issues with you. I understand, and you confirmed to us earlier, and that was at transcript page 11, lines 15 to 16, that since 2004, you worked for the genetics department of the Criminology Institute of the Czech Republic. That's correct, right?
Ano.
Yes.
Explain to the judges, what is your experience specifically in kinship analysis?
I am sorry, I don't understand what specifically do you have in mind?
Report provides a ratio of probability in kinship, and I was wondering if you could help the judges understand your experience in preparing such reports focused on kinship.
I am sorry, but I don't understand exactly the question. Could you perhaps reword it, formulate it in different words?
Ability that A and B are related to the person from whom the bone fragment was taken. This is, can you please explain your experience in providing reports using this specific expertise in kinship analysis?
It's a standard method in the field of genetics, and I believe since 2017 the Institute of Criminology identifies all unknown dead bodies in the Czech Republic. It's based on the instructions of the President of the Police.
Is regularly involved in providing this sort of analysis. How about yourself? Could you please expand on your specific expertise in this sort of analysis that you have provided in this report?
I am unable, from the top of my head, give you the exact number of such cases I worked on.
To the second clarification I wanted to discuss with you is, yes.
Defense Counsel, yes. I would like to take the floor for a moment, and that is with regard to a request you made yesterday with regard to, that was yesterday at 1804 to add 2 documents to the list of items to be used with the witness. And I refer to the documents with number 113508 and 11 till 113509, and also the document DPS 00162 till 00236. And we grant that request, Defense Counsel, because both items were only disclosed yesterday, and you have notified to the panel at the earliest opportunity that you would like to use them. And we didn't receive any objections from either the SPO and Victim Counsel. So you may use them for your cross-examination. And this concludes my oral order. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honours. So, Mr. Witness, just to move on to the second clarification I needed from you, is your institute accredited as complying with the ISO requirements for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories?
No.
Yes.
As ISO compliant?
I am unable to give you the exact date. I can't tell you the exact date. I assume 2010. Sorry, I'm unable to say give an exact date. I would just be guessing.
If I'm not mistaken, your 2023 report does not mention whether you are accredited as complying with the ISO requirements, does it? Your 2023 report.
No.
That is possible. It was a standard answer to an inquiry. The normal correspondence does not normally include a reference to our accreditation.
Let's continue with a different subject and focus on your 2009 report. And could I please ask the court officer to pull it for our screens? The report has ERN number SITF.
Defense Counsel, you ask me, and then I can give her,
sorry,
because if we do that in that way, it keeps the procedure organized. Yes. So, Madam Court Officer, you may proceed.
So the ERN number is SITF 000-12453, and this should not be transmitted to the public. And if we can focus on the second page and zoom at the top on point 2, Mr. Witness, sorry, let's see. Right. Mr. Witness, in that section, you list the material presented for examination. Is that correct?
No.
Yes.
The first item listed is marked with the name of a male individual that we previously called A, and the second is marked with the name of a female individual that we previously decided to refer to as B. As we said earlier, we must not disclose their names to the public. Now, in your report, you state that these items were handed over to your institute in September 2009. Can you confirm that that's the case?
No.
Yes.
Does not contain information as to whether A and B were identified prior to sampling. Is that correct?
No, it doesn't contain it. If the requesting subject, the requesting authority, can I continue? Can I continue?
Defense Counsel, please continue, Mr. Doleshi. You may, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Normally, when the requesting authority or body asks any request with a reference material, the requesting party gets the reference material. They identify who they get the reference material from. We then just receive the sample that's marked with the number, with a number or whatever, whether that's marked with, labeled with A or a number, that is not up to us to pronounce on.
Defense Counsel, my question has been answered, so it's enough like this.
Mr. Doleshi, your report contains also no information as to how A and B were identified prior to sampling, right?
Defense Counsel, could you try to formulate it just as a question to the? It's implying what you want to know.
Mr. Witness, does your report contain any information as to how A and B were identified prior to sampling?
The identification of the subjects before sampling of the reference material are performed by the requesting party. We are just the ones who process the samples, if I understood the question correctly.
That was indeed my question. Now, does the report contain any information as to who took those samples?
If we are looking at the same report, I don't believe so.
And does the report explain when and in what circumstances those samples were taken?
Asking things that are not in the report, I would propose to ask questions about issues that are in the report.
I understand your...
No, I'm very serious about this, because now this is the third question about what is not. And you can see what is not. So I would like to hear questions about what is, and I would like you to ask questions, if you have, to clarify what this witness can tell us.
Of course, the chain of custody, Your Honours, is important. There's no information in the report concerning that.
No, but that we can see. And you don't need the witness for that to establish that.
Thank you, Your Honours. Now, turning to a different subject, are the electropherograms of the DNA profiles of A and B available to you?
Those DNA profiles are only in the numerical form. Do you mean the numerical representation of these DNA profiles? Yes, they are also part of the annex, where there is the calculation of the software codice, which is which is the annex that was with the report dating from the 2023, where you do have the numerical representation of the DNA profiles.
Annexes of your reports do not include the electropherograms of any of the DNA profiles analyzed. Is that correct?
Ano, ty tam nejsou.
That is correct. They are not included. We did not include those in the report.
Are these available to you? Do they exist at your institute? Do you have them?
Ne, v tuto chvíli.
No, not anymore. The report itself, including entire documents, was destroyed after 10 years. Was destroyed.
Confirmed that although the hard copy of the report was destroyed after 10 years, and I'll find the transcript reference later on, you still had access to the numerical analysis in electronic form. Is that correct? Which is what you used in 2023.
Ano, ty jsou součást.
That is correct. This numerical information is included in our database.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now, in your report, you also list a fragment of a bone that was delivered to you in September 2009. The report does not mention who obtained this fragment and from where.
That's not a question. So please ask a question about, if you want, about the fragment of the bone.
Right, so if we can turn to the second part of the 2009 report, if we could show on our screens the section that follows heading number 2, which is marked as method. Mr. Witness, I'll wait for the document to be.
Before we proceed with the document, the reference about the destruction of the report is page 28, lines 11 and 12. So we have that now. And Madame Court Officer, please. Yes, you already went to the page. Thank you. Please proceed to Defense Counsel.
Now, Mr. Witness, you confirmed earlier on, and that was at transcript page 20, line 13, that the DNA typing kit, which was used for your analysis, was Powerplex 16. And this is what we see in the third paragraph of the report that we have on our screen. For clarity, can you please explain how many loci can be investigated using this DNA typing kit?
Ještě jednou, kolik je?
Can you repeat the question, please?
For clarity, you've touched upon this subject before, but for clarity, could you please confirm how many loci can be investigated using the DNA kit Powerplex 16? How many loci can be investigated?
It is also possible to simply make a simple calculation or count the number, 16 loci in total. It's 15 autosomal loci plus homologenin plus 6.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. And can you please confirm how the various alleles for a specific DNA profile were verified? Just to be clear, I'm interested in the threshold that you or your lab used for identifying the alleles in your electropherograms.
Defense counsel.
Ano, ano, to je.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Question in at page 49, line what is it, 20 till 22, because I think there's something lacking. No, in 23, there's something lacking.
Certainly, I'll repeat my question. My question was whether the witness could confirm how the various alleles for a specific DNA profile were verified, and I just clarified that I'm interested in the threshold levels that were used by you or your institute for identifying the alleles in your electropherograms.
At that time, and based on the verification, we used the minimal threshold of 50 RFU units in the sequenator. And in case of such complicated profiles as well as traces, only those alleles are reported that repeat at least twice out of 3 repeats.
So we go back to page 49, your question at line 16. I see that the answer of Mr. Witness has not been completely is not completely in the transcript. So your last question was how many loci can be investigated, and then the witness says it's also possible to simply make a simple calculation or count the 16 loci in total. He says it's 15 autosomal loci, but you see, and then it's not complete. So I'd like to have a complete answer of the witness, but maybe already by reading it out, he can complete it without you doing it. Please proceed.
Ano, ten poslední.
Yes, the last locus is amylogenin, that serves to determine the sex of the subject.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honours. Mr. Witness, can you confirm that you have analysed the samples from A and B, as well as the bone fragment, using the 16 loci of Powerplex 16?
Very well. Mr. Prosecutor, can we proceed with the witness in the courtroom or not?
Yes, I believe so, Your Honor.
Okay, please.
I think that I explored this in my direct examination. The reason I explained that they obtained complete profiles for subject A and B, but only 9 loci for the source of the bone fragment.
Defense counsel, is there a follow-up question on that?
There is, Your Honours.
But then maybe you can do the follow-up question?
Is it possible for the witness to confirm that he basically obtained the full profile for A and B using Powerplex 16, just for clarity, and also...
Now, that is in the report, and he said it before, that he used Powerplex 16. So that we have on record. So I would proceed then with the next question.
Right. You confirmed twice earlier on that you obtained a partial profile from the bone fragment. When you type the DNA samples for the bone fragment, how many loci produced a result?
Bylo možné.
It was possible to verify, and I think it's in the Annex 9, it was possible to verify 9 loci.
That was exactly what Mr. Prosecutor said.
Please confirm which specific loci produced the result. Could you identify this for us?
Musel bys, já
I really can't remember. Could you please show me the annex where you have the loci identified with their names or titles or abbreviations? If you allow me to take a look at the annex and the respective page, I could then specify the loci.
Analysis, there is the annex that perhaps could be of use, which was attached to your 2023 report. And perhaps we could bring that to our screens. This is the...
Mr. Witness, would that be useful?
Ano.
Yes.
Yes, it would.
So could you please proceed?
That is the RN number 110672. Well, it's 670 for the 2023 report. And then if we could focus on page 3, which is ERN number 110672. We have a chart of which is named reverse parentage statistics.
Mr. Witness, can you see it on the screen?
Ano.
Yes, I can. And in the first column, locus column, individual markers are listed. These are individual loci that were analyzed and that produced results, rendered results.
This is the data you obtain using PowerPlex for the purposes of your 2009 analysis. Is that correct? Just so that I understand your evidence clearly. The data set out in this annex is the data you obtain using the DNA kit PowerPlex 16 in 2009.
Moment.
Yes, these are results that were used for the statistical calculation, and obviously, and the annex shows it as well. In case of the DNA profiles of subject A and subject B, not all markers are stated, not all markers that were analyzed are stated here. The reason is that for the sake of a statistical calculation, these data cannot be used because you cannot compare them with the bone markers which were not rendered. So that means that in this very annex you only find markers which can be used for the calculation or determination of biological kinship.
Counsel, I am under the impression that the witness did not completely understand your question, so I suggest to repeat it.
Or perhaps take the witness back to my original question. I was trying to refresh your memory perhaps with showing you that list, but my original question and what I was interested...
No.
Sorry.
No. My question was to repeat your question and to ask that question, because apparently you wanted an answer to that.
Well, my question...
you asked him if he used that kit. That's what you wanted to know. And that was for the fourth time, I think, you asked it to him.
What I wanted to know is that the data in this annex, in the third page of the 2023 report, is the data which was obtained by analyzing the profiles using PowerPlex 16.
Ano.
Yes, that's true.
Can we please sorry, and you managed to produce. My question was, could you please confirm specifically which loci produced the result for the purposes of your 2009 analysis?
Or
You mean the reference samples or the bone sample?
I'm focusing now on the bone fragment.
the
loci where we were able to verify the alleles are mentioned in the column on the left. In these markers, we verified the reported alleles. At this moment, I'm not sure whether you want me to name them.
That are referred to there, which, if I understand your evidence correctly, are the loci for which you produced a result using PowerPlex 16 in 2009. Just for clarity.
Ano.
But is your question,
Ano.
because I would like to understand too, are you asking the question if, for example, the first row,
Yes.
D3S1358, if that
was analyzed, and all of them, all of the 9 loci referred to here, were analyzed using PowerPlex 16? This is really my question.
But has that not been answered?
If
Mr. Witness, please, can you answer that question?
všechny
All these loci. Are you asking me about answering the question regarding these loci in entirety?
Ne, myslím si, že
No, I don't think so. I think that we made repeated analyses using other kits, which at that time, if I'm not mistaken,
Now, yeah, I am under the impression that this question has been answered. I would say the question is, let us see, and then I will give you the floor. Please ask your question once again to the witness in the same formulation you did before, and then I will, I might take it from there.
So the data related to the loci listed on page 3 of your 2023 report, is that data obtained by your analysis in 2009, performed using the DNA kit PowerPlex 16?
ano.
yes. Now I got your question. I know where you're heading for with your question. Yes. We use the PowerPlex 16 kit in a standard manner, and in order to verify certain analyses and repeated analyses, we used other kits of another company, competitor to PowerPlex. At this moment, I can't say whether it was Identifiler, SE Filer, whatever these names, these brand names can be. I can't remember anymore what kits we used.
To assist the panel to follow this, could you please confirm, so you have given us earlier the loci tested with the Powerplex 16 system, and we can perhaps pull the manual that was added to a list yesterday, and if we could zoom into page 2 of the manual of the Powerplex 16 system, that is ERN number DPS00162.
Okay, two things. First, I would like to know the purpose, yes? And then we can decide to pull it up.
Yes, Your Honor, the witness has just confirmed that the data that we have here, the information that we have related to the various loci, the 9 loci that are listed on this page, have been obtained using, well, I don't want to add my analysis, have not only been obtained using Powerplex 16.
I read that he said to verify those results, other kits were used.
Just to clarify this, if I could just show to the witness the Powerplex 16 manual to determine which loci are actually analyzed by this kit, by this DNA kit, and then it would become clear which cannot, and then I can point to the 2 that are not analyzed through Powerplex, and then perhaps I can ask the witness to clarify how he obtained the data, the relevant data.
Okay, thank you. If the ERN number has been given, then we can pull up the document.
Sorry. Yes, if we could scroll. Apologies. To the second, if we could scroll down. This is the second page. Yes, to the a bit down to the second paragraph of the description. Sorry, is this the first page? This is the first page, I believe. We have to go to the second page. Right. So if we could focus on the second paragraph. Mr. Witness, perhaps you can confirm for us which loci can be analyzed using Powerplex 16 for the record and for our understanding of your evidence. Is my question clear?
These are loci stated in the paragraph. Did I understand your question correctly? Yes.
Loci that can be analyzed using Powerplex 16. Is this correct? Is my understanding correct? They're the same loci.
Ano.
Yes.
Right. So is locus D19S433 included in the loci that you can analyze using Powerplex?
No.
And is locus...
And the second...
Sorry, I missed the interpretation of...
A předpokládám, že na druhý lokus, na který se chce...
And I assume the second locus that you want to ask me about is D19. It is not included in the Powerplex 16 kit as well. It's not included there. The question?
Just for the record, so D19S433 cannot be analyzed using Powerplex 16. We agree on that?
No.
Yes. And
No.
S1338 can also not be analyzed using PowerPlex 16, correct?
Ne.
Thank you, Mr.
No.
I'd like you to explain, and you have partly explained this already, but for the panel, how did you obtain the data for the two loci that are referred to in this annex? Since we have confirmed that these were not obtained through a PowerPlex 16 analysis. Thank you.
Maybe we could have got to it in a faster way. In my report in 2009, there are not stated all methods used. Also, it does not state the type of cyclers used. It doesn't mention what kit was used for Y chromosome analysis. Those data are not stated. In my expert output and in my expert statement, we are not under duty to state all information achieved throughout our expert activity. As regards those complicated samples, therefore other application kits were used from the competition company to achieve as many results as possible. Unfortunately, because this report has been shredded, I'm unable to tell you retrospectively what kit was used. I assume it was either identifier kit or as a Fiedler kit.
Yes. In any event, you stated earlier that you had to repeat the analysis of the sample from the bone fragment a number of times. Could you please clarify how many times did you repeat this analysis?
Ano, celkem.
Yes. In total, there were about 5 samples taken. The bone was cut more times.
So before we proceed, I would like to have a clarification on a prior point from Mr. Witness. If we understood now right, the two loci mentioned earlier by Defense Counsel, PowerPlex 16 was not used to analyze it. Yes, I understood from you, and we have this here on record, that you told the panel we used the PowerPlex 16 kit. This is page 57, line 1 till 4, in a standard manner, and in order to verify certain analysis and repeated analysis, we used other kits of another company, competitor to PowerPlex. That was the moment that I understood, but maybe I misunderstood, that it was used to verify, so to control if prior results were correct. And what I now understand from the questioning by Defense Counsel, that it were all, how would I say it, ab initio tests.
Perhaps the witness can answer already, or perhaps I can guide him to respond.
I would like to have a straight answer to see. Maybe it's the floor is to you, Mr. Witness.
Děkuji.
Thank you. So, in a standard manner, kit PowerPlex 16 was used in our laboratory. It was used in a standard manner for all samples and reference materials. In exceptional circumstances, when there was necessary to find out, verify, test the results, then a competitive kit from another company was used. That kit provides very similar results. The only difference is that the loci observed by us are composed in a different manner and enables us to obtain shorter sections of DNA, the fragments.
You answer my question, Mr. Witness, and I will just put it again because I think there must be a clear answer to my question. The two loci mentioned by the defense counsel, and I can read them out again to you, which were D19S433 and D2S1338. Did you use another type of kit to analyze that?
Ano.
Yes, yes. Those two loci were part of another kit.
It was a new analysis. You did not have any results on those two loci yet.
I'm thinking how to formulate my answer in simple terms. Kits that were used by us, or have been used by us, have most loci that are the same. If we are to verify an allele and we repeat the analysis, if we want to verify the loci stated here, we can use PowerPlex 16. If we use a competitive kit, most of them are also verified in that kit, apart from two loci. Those kits differ. PowerPlex 16 tend to D and tend to A. The interpreter didn't catch the competitive have D19 and D2. The rest of the loci were the same. If we wanted to verify the results of D2 and D19, so in order to be able to report them, we used the competitive kit, and it was used twice in order to twice verify the allele, the number that was reported. It is not the case that alleles would be confirmed by a competitive kit. It's not a condition. The condition was for the allele to appear to be reported twice within two different analyses. Be it the same analysis or the competitive kit is not a condition. Was it understood?
How this clarifies the specific passage from the transcript. And I will now give the floor to defense counsel to continue with your examination. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Perhaps just a follow-up and last question on this matter. Perhaps he could assist. If the witness could confirm whether he can obtain any data on the two loci we identified using PowerPlex. Just to confirm that this is no verification, but this is a new analysis that was obtained, unless this is clear for the panel.
I think that the witness has gone into the matter of whether or not it is a new analysis, but you can ask your question.
Okay, so just a simple question. Can you analyze the two loci we identified before, which I can repeat for the record, D19S433 and D2S1338? Can you obtain any data related to these loci using PowerPlex 16?
Nothing.
No, the kit does not contain those two loci.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. It was just for clarity. Now, so therefore, only 7 of the loci that are listed on the same page, this is page 3 of the 2023 report, only 7 of the loci that are listed there were analyzed with PowerPlex, just to be sure that we understand your evidence correctly.
I don't know. Can I have a look again at the list?
Microphone for your honor, please.
2023 report, and if necessary, Defense Counsel can assist you with the ERN number.
Indeed, that is 110672.
Skutečně si nevybavuji.
Indeed, I do not remember what all loci contain identifier. Containing identifier, but I assume that the interpreter didn't manage to get all the numbers. There are also, I'm not sure whether they are part of the identifier, but they are part of the PowerPlex, so they are part of the analysis by PowerPlex 16.
Response was not entirely translated. Could I just confirm that your evidence is that 7 of the loci that are referred to in this list were not analyzed with PowerPlex 16?
No,
Billy?
They were analyzed.
Yes. 2 were not, and there are 9, so 7 were analyzed with PowerPlex. Thank you.
Ano. Yes.
Yes.
Which were analyzed with PowerPlex in 2009 is missing from this analysis, correct? From this list.
Wait, let us wait. We give the floor to Mr. Prosecutor. And is it better that we usher the witness out?
No, for me, it was just a matter of stating the record correctly. My understanding is that this is the data that was analyzed in 2009. There was no new raw materials in 2023. So it's
That's my understanding as well. The question is, where did this data come from? And I think we've just confirmed that the data related to 2 out of the 9 loci did not come from a PowerPlex 16 analysis. We're not sure from which analysis the data came from. And I just wanted to confirm with the witness, since PowerPlex analyzes 16 loci, the data for 9 loci is missing from the data that you list here in your 2023 report. Is that correct?
Can you please repeat and define your question, please?
All the floor necessary to examine the witness on specific points, but it must be also for the panel possible to follow where you base your question on. And for now, I cannot completely understand, so it must be clarified before we put the question to the witness.
If I may, I just also want to say that the witness has already explained that while PowerPlex analyzes 16 loci, because they were only able to extract 9 from the bone, it only made sense to have analysis with regard to 9 here, but then 2 of which were extracted with another kit. So just I wouldn't want to go backwards on matters that the witness has already explained as to why there are just 9 loci specified there.
Yes. So your question to the witness now, I would like you to ask to put the question to the panel, and then we can discuss it.
We've established, if you like, that with PowerPlex 16, we can get data for 16 loci.
Yes.
And we know, we have here data concerning 7 loci that were analyzed with PowerPlex 16. So the information related to 9 loci, which is not set out here, so 16
so you
minus
mean 7 and 2?
No, 16,
yes.
That are all the loci that
yes.
can be tested with PowerPlex, minus the 7 that we have listed here.
Yes.
There are 9 loci, and if it's helpful to the court, I can read which loci this concerns. There are 9 loci
yes.
that were analyzed with PowerPlex 16 in 2009, but the information related to that loci is not listed in this report. And I just want to...
You just want to turn it around?
No. It's a different... it's a different issue, but I just want to confirm that my understanding is correct with the expert, of course, because yes, I see that.
But you're making a kind of calculation, if I understand you right. You're saying there were 9 eventually analyzed with this specific kit, yeah, of which 2 not, because that's what the witness told us, and there were another 6.
Your Honor, if I could assist, we have here on the annex, we have
yes.
9 loci. PowerPlex analyzes 16. 2 were not analyzed with
2
PowerPlex.
of these 9.
2 of these 9. So 7 were analyzed with
yes.
PowerPlex 16. This leaves us with 9 additional loci, which are not listed here.
Yes, and then I repeat, that is a kind of turning it around. It's just making a calculation. It's 6, or not? It's 16 like without 7,
yes,
minus 7.
Absolutely,
so,
yes.
So
yes.
I don't see the need, if we already have done this whole analysis of 16, 9, and then from the 9, 7, to turn it around and to make the question. And if you can point out to me what is the relevance, we can make this calculation, but for now I don't see what it adds to what we have learned till now.
Your Honor, I would just like to have confirmed by the witness who has done the relevant analysis that the data for 9 loci, which I don't need to identify, is not included in the 2023 report. This is what I would like to ask the witness.
I'm going to see if the witness understands the question, but can you explain to me the purpose or the relevance? Because what you're heading at is, for me, is a kind of calculation.
It is, Your Honours.
And that calculation, you can make it on the basis of the information the witness has provided to us. So.
Your Honor, you're absolutely right. It is a calculation. However, I'm not an expert. So I would like to have the expert confirm that our understanding is correct, that in fact, there is data related to 9 loci, which is not presented here in this report.
No.
This is a question.
No.
If I may, just for the record being clear, it is our position that we already have an answer to that question. The witness stated that these loci were not analyzed here because they could only be extracted from subject A and subject B, not also from the bone fragment. On that basis, they could not draw a comparison between the two. So they only analyzed the loci
available. There are 9 loci available. That's the point of departure. So I will not allow for this question.
Thank you, Your Honours. And now moving on to the perhaps the last question that we have. We talked before about the availability of the electropherograms of A and B, of the DNA profile related to A and B. I'm wondering, are the electropherograms of the DNA profile from the bone fragment available to you? Either at your lab or do you have these at your disposal?
No, those are they only exist in the numerical form that we actually provided as the annex. These are the results, the numerical representation that was the basis for the statistical calculations.
And I'm trying to look for the reference, and we got the same answer. So
perhaps I'm mistaken. I believe I've asked before for A and B, and now I was asking for the bone fragment. Apologies if I'm mistaken.
Oh, no, maybe you, and then I owe you maybe apologies if that is the case. I mean,
in any event, this concludes our cross-examination. We have no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Witness.
Okay, thank you. Is there a necessity for the SPO to have a redirect?
We have no redirect for this witness, Your Honor.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Go to the defense. Mr. Witness, is there something you would like to say or to add to before I give the floor to the defense if they have another question?
Maybe once more, I would like to clarify the question. Yeah. In 2009, in the report, we did not include all the analysis that we used, not even the analysis of Y chromosome is included. And that's because although we did provide all these analyses, and that is why we managed to receive the results for the 2 loci that are not part of the PowerPlex 16, that's why we have them. These results are obtained from the same sample. We don't have the actual, when we have the sample, we apply various analyses. The results are reported in the numerical form, and then they are used for the statistical evaluation and calculation of the kinship. I hope that this way I understood, I clarified the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witness. Defense Counsel, is there a question from you? in rejoinder.
If I could just last two minor points. Do you have at your disposal any data from your 2009 analysis that has not been included in the 2023 report, in any format, in electronic format or in any format? Do you have any data obtained from the 2009 analysis that you at your disposal today?
We managed to recover the data from CODIS related to the Y chromosome analysis, but I don't believe that is part of the annex. I believe that's 11 markers of the Y haplotype. That's the same for subject A and the bone fragment. But that would be all that we managed to recover.
Sorry, apologies. And just one very small clarification for the record, if not anything else. I believe that there's a small typing error in the 2009 report. Perhaps we can just have it clarified with the witness. Now we have him here.
Madam Court Officer, could you pull up the report?
And for completeness, if we could have the 2009 report, the second page that is that bears ERN number SITF 000124554, and if we can look at the part that reads method. Just very quickly, Mr. Witness, perhaps you can confirm that the second loci referred to in the second line of the third paragraph, it reads there D2S11. You see it? You see it? That there's a small typing error, and that should actually read D21S11. Just for the record.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that would be a typing error. It is the locus D21.
Now, please continue.
We have no further questions here.
Okay. Now that we are at the phase of corrections, I owe you my apology because you were indeed at page 47, line 18, when you were talking about the electropherograms. You referred to A and B, and now you were referring to the bone. So for the record, we have that straight. Yes? Very well. I will now check with my colleagues. Mr. Witness, we don't have any questions from the side of the panel, so that means that we are at the end of your testimony before the specialist chambers. I would like to thank you very much for your testimony here, here in court. I believe it will be of assistance for finding the truth. I wish you a good trip home. I remind you that you should not discuss with anyone the content of your testimony you have given, and allow me to thank you again. Madam Court Usher will usher you out.
Já také děkuji za...
Thank you very much for the opportunity to explain any possible uncertainties or unclear matters.
Okay, very well. Thank you, Madam court usher. Before we adjourn, we will have an oral order, as I informed the parties and Victims' Counsel. Very well. This is an oral order setting the calendar for the next procedural steps. And that is the closing of the SPO case, the victims' preparation conference, victims' evidence view and concerns, the defense preparation conference and opening of the defense case. The present order is issued pursuant to Article 40, Paragraph 2 of the law and Rules 9, Paragraph 5 under A, Rule 116, Paragraph 1, Rule 119 and Rule 129 of the rules. The panel sets Wednesday, 6th of July 2023 as the target date for the closing of the SPO case. Before closing its case, the SPO shall submit any remaining application for the admission of material under Article 37 of the law or other material. Also, before the closing of the SPO case and following the completion of the testimony of the last SPO witness, the parties and Victims' Counsel shall file their application for the admission of material used during their respective questioning of the last SPO witness. And that is the witnesses to be heard between the 26th of June and the 5th of July. So it means that you will not have for these witnesses a week from completion of the evidentiary block as set out in the decision 461 paragraph 56. And we kindly ask you to organize accordingly. The objections and observations, if any, shall be filed within the 5-day limit we have set out in the decision 461 paragraph 56. So on the 6th of July, by 4 o'clock, the SPO shall file a written notice pursuant to Rule 129 of the rules, informing the panel, the defense and Victims' Counsel that there are no more witnesses to be called or other evidentiary material to be presented, and closing its case. And this is, of course, subject to the last SPO witness concluding his or her testimony on or before the 5th of July. Yeah. Defense Counsel, I now turn to you. My first question, I have a question for you. If you are already in a position to inform the panel whether you intend to file a motion under 130 of the rules to dismiss any or all of the charges, and whether you intend to present a case pursuant to Rule 119, paragraph 1 of the rules. And if the defense cannot say it now, in that case you shall inform the panel, the SPO and Victims' Counsel, whether you intend to submit a motion under Rule 130 of the rules to dismiss any of all of the charges, and whether you intend to present a case at the latest and immediately after the SPO has filed the Rule 129 notice, and no later than that. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Yes, Your Honor, I prefer to wait before provide you an answer, and I will be more accurate to answer with the data you provide with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. Then, subject, of course, to a Rule 130 request and the outcome of that, we have to take to organize already for possible procedures after that, subject to the outcome of a possible 130 motion, Rule 130 motion. Should you decide to present a case, And in order to organize the proceedings efficiently and expediently, we set the following procedural steps and time limits for the presentation of your evidence. First, Defense Counsel, you shall file your list of witnesses and exhibits containing the information set out in Rule 119, paragraph 2, A and B of the rules by Monday, 17 July 2023. And then by the 19th of July 2023, you shall also permit the SPO and Victims' Counsel to inspect any and copy any statements, documents, photographs, and other tangible objects in the defense custody or control, which are intended for use by the defense as evidence at trial. You should provide the SPO and Victims' Counsel the statements, if any, of all witnesses the defense intends to call at trial, and all statements taken which the defense intends to present in trial, and to provide the SPO the exhibits that the defense intends to present at trial as set in Rule 104, paragraph 5 and 7 of the rules. And the defense shall liaise with the SPO prior to filing the list of exhibits in order to gather, where possible, any SPO objections regarding the authenticity of the defense exhibits to be presented, as stipulated in Rule 119.2b of the rules. And this is without prejudice to the possibility for the SPO to raise any objection to the overall admissibility of any exhibits, should these be submitted to the panel during the remainder of the trial. The defense shall further comply with the panel's directions in the decision on the conduct of proceedings, which is decision 4.3.4, and the specific paragraphs relevant are paragraphs 27, 28, 30 till 33, 35, 56, 64, 68, and 69. Second, I recall specifically for everybody, but specifically for the Victims' Counsel, that the panel's plans are to hear evidence called by Victims' Counsel and any views and concerns of victims starting on the 21st or 22nd of August 2023. Now, it will depend on the amount of time needed by Victims' Counsel if we start on the 22nd of August. And immediately thereafter, within the same week, we wish to convene the Defense Preparation Conference. And the Preparation Conference will be held in the presence of the SPO, Victims' Counsel, and Defense Counsel. If you would like to have an ex parte session, please inform the panel and we will proceed accordingly. Should your rule, if any, motion be granted, we will vacate, of course, the hearing days in August, and we will no longer hear any evidence from Victims' Counsel or hold a defense preparation conference. That goes, of course, without saying. Let me see.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, no,
the rules.
I think I made I made a mistake. Anyway, should your Rule 130 motion be granted, and if you file one, of course, we will vacate the hearing days in August. Very well. Third, we set Monday, 18 September 2023 for the opening of the defense case. Again, this is subject to the outcome of Rule 130 motion, if any. Victims' Counsel, I turn to you. We already set the relevant deadlines for you, and I refer to our oral order of of May 4. We have also stated that envisaged evidence by victims' counsel and any views and concerns of victims to be presented, it is preferably to be done in the week of the 21st till the 25th of August. Victims' Counsel, do you find the need to have a status conference regarding the presentation of evidence and views and concerns of the victim?
Your Honour, the short answer is I don't think it will be necessary, and I can tell Your Honour and Your Honour's colleagues where we are in terms of preparation. We will meet the deadline of the 30th of June, and we won't be asking for an extension for the submission of our evidence. The witnesses that we intend to call on either the 21st or 22nd of August have been warned of those dates and are available, and we think it's highly unlikely that we'll be calling any victims to present their views and concerns.
Okay. It could also be that we would start the 22nd and then we would... It could also be that we start the 22nd and then proceed the 23rd. So their availability, let me put the question differently, the availability of the witnesses, is that for the whole week?
We have told the two individuals concerned that they should make themselves available for the 21st and 22nd of August. We thought that those were the dates that had been allocated for their evidence.
Okay.
I'm very happy to see if they can also come on the 23rd.
Yes, that would be a request.
Yes,
from
certainly.
our part. Very well. Victims' Counsel, if you change your mind, the panel could organize a status conference on Friday, 7th of July. So I leave it there as an option, and we have noted your answer, but for you to know if the need rises.
Thank you.
And if you would like to do that, Victims' Counsel, please inform the panel at the earliest opportunity. That would be so. For now, we don't organize anything, but please inform us at the earliest opportunity if you would like to have one.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
I now come to the last point. The panel considers it appropriate to receive submissions by Friday, 1st of September 2023, in accordance with Rule 159, paragraph 6 of the rules, from the parties and Victims' Counsel as to whether, of course, in the event the accused is found guilty of one or more crimes charged, as to whether the panel should determine the appropriate sentence with the pronouncement of the trial judgment, or should proceed in accordance with Rule 162 and 164 of the rules. And the parties and Victims' Counsel shall also make submissions on whether they have additional evidence that they wish to submit for the purpose of sentencing, including whether they wish to call witnesses for these purposes. And this is, of course, without prejudice to the panel's determination of whether the accused is guilty or not guilty. We're just trying to organize everything in the most efficient way. Should the parties and the Victims' Counsel not be in a position to submit the requested observation at this stage, they shall file submissions stating the reasons therefor. In any case, the panel shall receive submissions on this matter at the latest by the closing of the defense case pursuant to Rule 131 of the rules. Is everything clear on the matter? I see Mr. Prosecutor nodding, the whole team nodding, yes?
Yes, Your Honor, everything is clear. I may take this opportunity just to request a clarification. At page 74 of the transcript, Your Honor set the date for the close of the prosecution case for Wednesday, the 6th of July. Now, the 6th of July happens to be a Thursday, so I wanted to just for clarity to know what day Your Honor intended to set for the close of our case.
Thursday 6th in that case, because it is the understanding of the panel that the 5th might be the day that we finalize with the examination of the witness, and we wanted to give the defense and victims counsel and SPO the time to finalize anything that had to come up with regard to evidence, and especially for the SPO.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now the record is clear. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for making the point. Victims counsel, is everything clear to you?
It is, Your Honour, yes. If I can just correct the transcript of something that I said at page 78, line 17, it says we will need the deadline of 30th of June. I said we will meet the deadline of 30th of June.
Thank you for this correction. Defense counsel, is everything clear?
That's very clear, Johan. Thank you very much.
Okay, very well. This concludes today's hearing if the parties and victims counsel don't have anything to raise with the panel anymore. No?
Nothing further, thank you.
No.
No, thank you.
No, thank you very much.
No.
Accepting Ms. Cariolo, perhaps?
No, thank you, Your Honor. I just want.
Very well. Then I think the parties and victims counsel and the registry were already left for their attendance, and I want to thank the interpreters and the stenographer and the security and the audiovisual booth for their assistance today. The hearing is adjourned till the 26th of June at 9:30.
All rise.